All right.
Cool.
Jack, go ahead. Tell me about yourself. Tell me your team name, who you are. give me the standard.
Derek, thanks for having me here. I'm really excited about Adam's choice for the team name category. I'm actually really, really enthusiastic about it. I was having a full conversation with Amba about it and different name ideas. So this year I'll be Cowboys 2 Men. It's really likely I'll be taking Zeke at second overall pick, and then I have Dak as a keeper. So, I have 2 up-and-coming they were rookies, now they're going to be sophomore Cowboy players, and I have 2 of them. So they're quite literally 2 Cowboys who are becoming men. So Cowboys to Men seems pretty perfect.
I thought it was, I was under the belief that it was 90s pop.
Yeah.
Band.
Cowboys to Men is absolutely 90s pop.
I think they're R&B.
What does pop stand for? Nope. You know
Go
what
ahead.
pop
What
stands
does
for?
pop
It stands
stand
for popular. It's actually a very vague term.
Oh.
And Boys to Men are absolutely popular 90s band.
Might have to Google that one.
Feel free to.
I might have to.
You gotta ask Jeeves if we're going 90s.
Ask Jeeves. All right. Get into a little bit about your role as commissioner in a sense of to give the other nerd herders an idea of actually how hard it is to handle them.
It is so stressful. You have no idea. It is. Because the biggest thing, and this is to me genuinely the most important thing, is I just want fantasy football to be fun. And so it sucks when you have to come up with rules. It sucks that we had to make it a rule that you can't repeat a team name category. Like the fact that we had to make that official is so infantile and so kindergarten level that I have to say, no, you can't do that. Or, no, you have to pick a different superhero. Someone already has that superhero name. And I don't mean to pick on Adam, but I mean, I don't want to make this a roast of Adam. I don't want it to be. No. But I mean, because there's things
That's question number 4.
Every other person just picked a different superhero. Every other person that's won so far has just picked a different team name category. Yeah. But Adam just can't do that. Which is just, it's frustrating. So, no, it's not just Adam. I get texts a lot from different people asking I'm trying to think of any examples, but it's just the craziest questions. And it's tough because our rules are getting complex, so it's just scenarios that we didn't dream of. And then they happen, it's oh my gosh, I didn't even consider that. I don't know, man. Because we're just trying to make it fair so that it's fun, because if it's not fair and then someone has a competitive advantage in an unfair way, then it becomes not fun. So that's the most difficult thing, is just juggling 9 other guys all with different interests who aren't looking out for the best of the league, which is fair. They're looking out to win, and so they're looking for a competitive advantage. Mm-hmm. And I've got to keep it so that it stays fair the whole time.
What's the most rewarding part of leading our lovable band of friends to
making it so that we all get together?
Yeah,
absolutely. The biggest rewarding thing was that 3 years ago when we finally got to be a live draft, which is something I've been pushing for years. It was tough to do because we're all spread out. And so to finally be in a stage where we're consistently doing live drafts is easily my favorite thing, because I think that enhances the draft process, which I think most of us agree is the best part of fantasy football, is doing the draft.
Yeah.
And it just increases it tenfold. I love it. And that's why the league owners meeting, I think that was so much fun, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're putting $40 in this thing. It's a very inconsequential thing. And so for us to get there as grown men and yell at each other for 3 hours, even
kickers.
Then kickers is a microcosm of that. Even within the fantasy football sphere, kickers mean even less. And so for us to then devote a half hour of that 3 hours to talking about kickers, I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love that we can all get passionate, something that we're all nerds about, that we can get, and Steve, that we can all then yell at each other about.
So talk about last season. You obviously did not win the losers bracket, but you obviously finished, I think it was last, for good reason. You were close to last in the sense of the league
Yes, it was near the bottom.
And for good reason, because you did a ton of trades to get ready for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about last year going into the season and when you decided to sell the season for this season.
Okay, yeah, it was a rough year, but now looking back, I'm relatively pleased with how the season went. So the biggest change that happened last year was I discovered podcasts. And I had a whole conversation with Chris Winters about this. I just invested way too much into the information I was getting from podcasts rather than going with my own gut. And like Brandon Marshall, I wasn't that high on him. And so I'm listening to these different podcasts, everyone was talking about Brandon Marshall. I'm like, all right. So if I remember correctly, I took him second overall. And Lamar Miller, that's another guy that just got talked up. And even with that, I'd probably
You had to buy me dinner for
yes,
Lamar Miller.
with absolutely great trade on your part. Well, the really interesting fact about Zeke, that last year was the first time in I think 10 years, don't quote me on that, it's a relatively large number, I think 10 years, that the running back taken highest in the NFL draft, so highest NFL rookie running back, which Zeke was last year, went 4th overall in the NFL draft. It was the first time that running back finished first among rookies at his position in fantasy points. So normally, like, the top running back taken in the NFL draft is not going to be the top running back at the end of the fantasy season. Mm-hmm. And last year was the first time in like 10 years. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm kind of low on him. Like, there's just too much hype.
Yeah. And
I really believed in Lamar Miller. So, I mean, yeah, Lamar Miller, Brandon Marshall was my top 2 overall picks. And then DeAndre Hopkins, who I based a lot of my draft style around him being like my keeper that'd be solid. And those 3 players just systematically failed me. Like, none of them were the studs they should have been. But then I had surprising players like Doug Baldwin, I think finished in the top 10. Obviously, DeMarco Murray just did fantastic. And so it was probably around, like, I think week 5 or 6 when I think I was still winless at that point. When I was like, we have draft pick trading, I have a chance to make this successful for next year. And so now this year I've maybe done that too much, and now I just feel pressure. Like, having 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and then 3 third-round picks, and then Doug Baldwin in the 9th round, or whatever, maybe 11th round. Like, that's a lot of... It's kind of pressures. Now, if I don't make the playoffs, there's something wrong with me. Then there's some real reevaluation that I have to do.
Yeah, so what were the significant moves last year that led to the draft picks for this year? Like, do you remember
I traded DeAndre Hopkins and some ancillary piece to Andre for a 3rd round pick and Des Bryant, which I love that. I mean, so DeAndre Hopkins still had 5th round value for this year. So this year's a 5th round keeper. So I got Des Bryant, who is a severe upgrade just between the 2 players. DeAndre to Des is an upgrade. And I looked at... no one knew what was going to happen with Brock at that point. I knew he had the 2-year contract. I figured he might still stay with them. We don't know. And so the next year, would I rather have DeAndre Hopkins at a 5th round pick or a 3rd round pick? And I was like, absolutely. Give me the upgrade at wide receiver now and a 3rd round pick next year. 100%. The big one came later. I got another 3rd from Steve, but I can't remember who I traded him.
It wasn't Murray, was it?
No, because Murray was for the 1st overall pick to Gross.
Steve was probably for a quarterback.
It was a relatively good... You know what? I think it involves something with Jeremy Hill. I got Jeremy Hill and a 3rd round pick, and I traded him. I cannot remember who right now. So that was just really nice. So those were the first 2 that happened, and then I got to Gross was DeMarco Murray for a 1st overall. That one I labored over for nearly a week because DeMarco Murray, I got him in the 6th round. So knowing his talents, I have DeMarco Murray this year for a 4th round keeper or a first round pick. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I just don't know. And I'm still not even sure I made the right decision. The reason I went the way I did is because by doing this, I have 2 first round picks and I still have the option to keep 2 players. Whereas that, I have a 1st round pick and I'm using one of my keepers for DeMarco Murray in the 4th. And then, no matter what Derrick Henry does, DeMarco Murray's worth a 4th round pick. No matter what Derrick Henry does, he's worth a 1st round pick. Yeah. So either way, that's good keeper value. But the looming threat of Derrick Henry improving, where I could then just keep 2 other guys and get a new 1st round pick, ultimately sold it for me.
What is, with all these picks and with your new insight to the podcast life, without going too in depth, what's your draft strategy this year? Is it wide receiver year? Is it running back year? Is it tight end year?
It's tough, and like the more I value it, the more. I mean, it's just we have to deviate so far from an actual draft board. We can't mock draft because you don't know. There's too many variables. You can't account for Mike Evans going in the 9th round and this guy going in this round, like, because the entire. It makes sense now for Aaron Rodgers to go in the 1st round because there's already so much other talent depleted out of it. Even though we still have a lot of talent. I mean, you look at the top 5 guys on the board right now, we still have Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Jordy Nelson, Des Bryant. Like, there's still so many skill position players. LaShawn McCoy. So it's tough right now because at number 2 overall, I know Zeke is the best player to get. Only for my strategy because I have pick 2 and I've picked 5. So at the number 2 overall pick, if it just came down to nothing, I would rather have Antonio Brown. In a PPR, give me AB all day behind Le'Veon. But I know Cochran's taking Le'Veon. So I would love to have Antonio Brown. But the running back drop-off, because so many guys are going to be kept, like, I'm not getting... Jay Ajayi is probably going to be kept. Devontae Freeman probably kept. Jordan Howard kept. Like, there's not that much time. David Johnson obviously kept. Yeah. So it just makes more sense to get Ezekiel Elliott, and then there's still going to be a lot of wide receiver talent that I can get at the 5th pick. So after I pick, there's going to be 2 picks between my 2 first-rounders. So let's say I take Zeke. On the board, right after I take Zeke, there's still Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, LaShawn McCoy, Jordy Nelson, Des Bryant that I can get at my next pick. Mm-hmm. As my 2nd overall pick, like, that's hard to pass up. Would I rather have a situation where I have Antonio Brown and LaShawn McCoy? I would. But I can't guarantee I'm going to get LaShawn McCoy or a high-value running back after I take AB. So I've got to take Zeke.
Talk about the potential of the draft expansion in a sense, or the league expansion, not the draft expansion. Where you sit on that, what your thoughts are.
With the 10 to 12?
Yeah, 10 to 12. We talked about a relegation league. Like, do you think, 1, we'd have enough guys for that? 2,
I don't.
Do you think that it would be the right move to go to 12, and why not? Or
I don't hate the idea of going to 12, although if we do, I think we'd have to go back up in bench space because there's so many other guys fighting for those waiver positions. It will now in that position. Then the waiver, if we talk, there's going to be just so many players more off the board, mm-hmm. but you're also going to need to be able to store more players. I think we would have to go back up to 6. Not a necessity. One weird thing, though, with the whole conversation with Don is if we did increase to 12, I don't think Adam is a lock to be one of the 2 new guys in. I mean, just at the end of the day, he decided to quit. It's just such a really weird situation because, again, he wasn't kicked out. He was never kicked out. Mm-hmm. He chose to resign. And so if he does choose to then come back, it's like, oh, do we give him his roster back? Because now Gorman has the roster. What if Gorman started making trades right now because it's Gorman's team? Like what team does Adam get? There's so many great pieces with that. So, I mean, does Chuck Bengal now? Chuck is the first guy on the fill-in list right now. So is Chuck the next guy in, or is Adam Smith the next guy in? We've had other guys quit before. I mean, we've had so many guys who have left in the past. Like, or if we allow 2 more people in the league, do we go to Tyler Bruce first? Do I have to contact him and say, hey, Tyler, we have another opening spot. Do you want to come back in? I know it's been 6 years, but do you want to come back in? And then do I go to Ryan Bargerstock next, see if he wants back in? Do I contact Gil Myers to see if he wants to come back in? Like, where's the line where a guy who quits doesn't automatically get a spot right back in if he wants to come back in?
How would you do, in your head, in a perfect world, we're going to 12 tomorrow, and it's Chuck, and it's another person that's another name that's no correlation with the league. How does the expansion draft?
I know we talked about that last year. I don't hate the NHL system of looking at it, but what I think I would do is we'd probably have to have everyone pick their 2 keepers early, and what these guys, we would find some way to pick between the 2. We have new A, new B. They would then get to do an expansion keeper selection from the rest of the rosters. So let's say, I don't know how we would choose, like, who goes first, who goes second between the 2 new guys, but we would all pick our keepers relatively early, maybe 3 weeks before the draft. And then these guys get to then look at our rosters. Team A gets first selection. He says, okay, I want to take Mike Gillisley from Pereslucha's roster, and he's a 13th round keeper for me. And then the next guy goes, and then Team B goes, and he goes, okay, I want to take this guy from his roster as my other keeper. Because there's still a lot of high-quality keepers. I think that would be the best way to go. I can't think of any other way to go because we'd want to give them some keeper value, and there are still players with a lot of keeper value on teams. So I think that would be the best way to go, and then just put them... then even in the draft, where do you put them? Do they go 11, 12? I would say yes. But that's tough too. I think that'd be the best way to do it. Because the other guys, they earn their positions. Maybe go in the middle between the losers bracket and the playoffs. So you have 1 through 4, 5, 6 are the 2 new guys, and then 7, 12 are the playoff bracket. That might be a way to go.
Talk about the auction draft situation and what it's going to bring to the league.
Well, just to clarify, you mean the waiver system.
Waivers.
Because we're not doing an auction draft.
The auction waiver situation.
As long as I am commissioner, I will fight my hardest to keep the league as a snake draft. We've always done it that way. That's the way the NFL does it. I like that system. I think there's a little bit more urgency to it. I think it's more fun, and it's more efficient. Where you can't, auction drafts just take so long. It's literally, with our number of guys, probably 4 hours. We already have guys taking you 2 minutes to pick a guy, so now the guy puts him up for bid, and then everyone else is jumping on for the bid, so it's going to take forever. But the free agent auction buy system is something I am so excited. I think, besides the live draft, I think this is one of the best things we've done in years. I flash back to a couple years ago when Levy got hurt, and immediately near the end of the year, D'Angelo Williams is the number 1 waiver guy. And there's just so many teams who need him, and they're out. They know 100% with a logical brain.
To be fair, I drafted him, so.
I'm talking about that year when Le'Veon got hurt near the end. I think it was against the Bengals. He got injured somewhere around week 10.
Yeah.
He went down, and D'Angelo immediately steps up and oh my gosh, this guy's a top 10 running back right now. Who can get him? And the guys in the top 2 waivers, as long as it's not like Steve, as long as it's someone paying attention, they have him. And again, it is, there's absolutely, there is skill to when to use your waiver. But you can just have a guy just sitting on that number 1 waiver spot, which is skill because he's choosing not to spend that number 1 waiver spot for other people, other free agents that come up. But with this system, it's going to allow everyone a chance to get those top guys. So league, I just really strongly encourage you. We're going to have $100. Don't spend $30 on a guy in week 1 unless it's something insane where this guy's a lock. And even then, don't spend a lot of money in the beginning. Maybe around week 4 to 5, you could start using a little bit more money for those waivers, but don't be liberal with how you spend your money. Be very conservative with how you spend that $100. But even after that, people are gonna see on Wednesday there's still gonna be quality players that you can grab. So I think it's gonna add a really, really fun factor of trash talk and deception in the message board, where people are, because now people will start calling out. Normally in a waiver system, you're kind of trying to keep those guys hidden. You're like, don't even look at Cameron Meredith. He's not even there. Now you might want to say, oh man, Cameron Meredith, that guy's probably going for what, $20? Just throw it out there. Just throw that little seed, sprinkle it in there. Whereas you're planning to take the other guy. You're planning to take Tyrell Williams for $10 from the Chargers. So there's going to be a lot of. I think waiver day is going to be so much more fun seeing who got who and how much they bid on that player to get them. I'm really excited to see. I think Wednesday is going to be one of the more
different.
And it's going to be one of the more exciting days of the week for the NFL season.
Who's your comeback fantasy player of the year candidate? Who last year was just so bad that you have on your radar right now? And obviously, if it's somebody that you have so far off, you don't want to tell. That's fine. But who in your head is the guy that you're like, hey, he's going to be a stud? That was bad last year.
Yeah. Let me think.
Injury or play.
Yeah. I'm trying. The first guy that comes to my mind is Cam Newton, but I don't think he's bouncing back to the high level at all. I guess at number 1 I could see Todd Gurley. I'm not super projecting it, but I think if there is one player who kind of qualifies in that realm, I could absolutely see Todd Gurley having a bounce back. I'm a lot lower on Todd Gurley than other people are. The guy, after I think it's 6 weeks, after his first 6 weeks in the NFL where he played, he missed the first 4 weeks of his actual NFL career with injury. He was still rehabbing. He comes in around week 4 against the Steelers. His first 6 weeks of the NFL, he had his 6 best games. He rushed for over 100 yards 5 times. After that point, for 16 or 17 straight games, he has not peaked 100. Last year, when did Danny Woodhead get injured? In the second week? I think it was week 2 Danny Woodhead went out for the year. Danny Woodhead finished with more top 7 performances in a PPR league than Todd Gurley last year. Todd Gurley played almost the entire year. Danny Woodhead played 1.5 games.
He's a freak.
So you tell me. If their offensive line can improve, I could see, because I think Gurley has talent, but I could see him improving because I think he was so far down.
Who's your rookie to watch this year? Not the McCaffrey of the world or the Corey Davis of the world, but is there a rookie that you've watched that you're excited to?
It really might be Christian McCaffrey. I'm really high on him. Another guy, I think he's going to take the position right from him, is Joe Mixon. I think he's taking the position from Hill and Bernard. And if he does, I think that guy has a lot of talent. I think that offense has always been talented. They lost some offensive line pieces. I know the one guy went to the Lions. I'm pretty sure they lost another guy as well. So that's a little bit of pause, but I think the guy just has so much talent. I think, I'm sorry, rewind. Andy Dalton. He got, what was his touchdown ratios that he usually has? And his touchdown ratio last year was it was such an outlier season from how much he normally throws and his efficiency to how much he passes that it's almost nothing he can do but bounce back. Every year that he's had A.J. Green healthy the entire year, he's finished as a top 5 quarterback. So, and A.J. Green got injured last year. Before A.J. Green got injured, I think he was top 6. So, if Andy Dalton can stay healthy and A.J. Green can stay healthy, those two guys can rock it.
What is planned for the live draft this year? Is there anything on your head that's like, we should do this at the draft, or we're just going to get there, eat pizza, and draft?
Definitely pizza. That's nearly top priority. So we're having it at dawn, so, it's tougher to plan when I'm not actually physically hosting it. But like I said, so one thing, more, rather than fun related, more strategy related, I am going to have a piece of paper. So we're going to have the normal draft board, with the grid, 14 by 10 grid. And beside that, I'm going to have paper going the whole way down so we can have more of a list rather than grid, so we can see each, pick 1, Cochran, this player. Pick 2, Pereslucha, this player. And so we'll be able to keep that and see exactly where a player was picked and by which team, which I think is going to help a lot, because I think that draft board is going to get really confusing with all the draft trading. But we're going to have the water bets this year, which is going to be really fun, which my knowledge is just, I think we decided one time each round we spin the water for Steve.
Yep.
Okay, and we're doing that. We decided last year for the loser of the league each year that they're doing the water bet. Okay, and so it is. Again, guys, it's just water, so chill out. Like, one of the things is you put a cup of water in the person's pocket. So it's gonna be uncomfortable. Like, no one wants water in their pocket, but we're not shaving your eyebrow. We're not making you get a tattoo. Sure. It's all relatively harmless. So I'm actually really. I think that's gonna be really fun. We've got every rookie is a shot. If you submit the wrong player or submit it late, that's a shot. I think maybe we should take out the push-up variant. Take a shot or do push-ups. I think this year we should just do a shot.
The do it late, that's a shot. If I turn in late, but the next guy can still skip.
Yes, it's both.
Gotcha.
So if you miss your 2-minute mark, the next guy can go up and do his pick, and you still got to do a shot before you say your guy.
Gotcha.
Or we never really, put a time frame on the shot, but you owe a shot now. You got to take a shot.
A shot of...
I don't think we have anything specific. I'm not going to force it because I hate tequila. I don't want tequila ever forced on me.
Just be tequila.
That
should be a poll.
I'm strongly against that. I really, really hate tequila.
Tequila pool.
Those are some fun options. I'm always welcome to other just fun ideas that we can have for the draft just to make it a blast. I think one idea I had was everyone selecting a walk-up song, and every time they go to do their draft, they go to pick their player, they play a song.
Oh gosh.
It'll get really
Does it have
repetitive.
to be by their band?
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. If we did do that, it would have to be from the band that your team name is in parody of. Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea.
So we have a newcomer this year, obviously Gorman. I don't know how much he knows about the league, but what are your thoughts on adding a new guy? What's it going to bring to the table? What's it mean to lose a champion and bring in a newcomer for the quality of the league?
Yeah, first it sucks to lose Adam. It really does. For the competition level, it sucks. Adam, he won 2 out of the past 3 years. Even though he's antagonistic and he's a troll, no one's ever going to deny that he wasn't good at fantasy football. So that's a big loss. That sucks. It sucks that he decided to quit. I do know, though, that Gorman is extremely intelligent. The guy knows fantasy football. He's been in other leagues for years, and he and I constantly talk each year, just, crossing ideas like, hey, what do you think about this guy this week? What do you think about this guy for this season? What are your thoughts on the draft?
I don't think he's that smart.
So it's a little bit negative that I'm not going to go as much detail with him as I do anymore, because he's now an actual competitor in direct competition. But yeah, I think especially I think Mike's going to have good ideas for the league as well. So his knowledge of the league, I actually typed up. I think it ended up being 4 pages. And I just went into detail of every policy, every setting that I could think of that we have. So I went through all the scoring. I went through the roster setup. I went through how the keepers work, how the new waivers work, how the draft works. I just typed it all up instead of doing work for like 2 hours the one day, and I just sent that over to him. So he seems pretty well briefed. He's been asking me a couple questions about like the keepers and trading. So I think he's pretty well versed in the league already. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited to see this new rivalry between Joe and Gorman, what that can bring to the league. Because you and Andre have a pretty weird rivalry. Like you guys.
I mean, I respect the guy that's the second best fantasy person in the league behind me. So.
Like the way you guys compliment each other so much, and like it's weird.
It's the perfect WWE relationship where we're tag team partners, but it's also the Jarrah show. Where like,
but we're not WWE.
Life is WWE.
It's not.
It is. No, I mean, Dre's the best rival I could ever want in the league because he pays attention, he talks shit.
He does.
We make side bets, like he's going to put me through a table. Not that I don't believe anyone else would do that, but like other guys might just be like, yeah, let's just do the beer at the draft, cool.
And you guys make it more, you guys step it up a level.
It's something where every time I see Dre, like I saw him at McFadden's last weekend, he said, I'm going to fucking wreck you in fantasy this year. And we talked about it forever, and he's the best rival I could ask for. He makes me want to be better because when I beat him, it's so much better.
Yeah. I think Cochran and I need to start trash talking a little bit more. So you obviously are relatively new to the league. Now you're not the new guy anymore. Now Gorman is the new guy. How does that feel, being
Fucking nerd.
Now that you're not the new guy? Do you like that?
I love it.
Okay,
Well, actually, I don't know if I love it because I like being the new guy that also walked in with a good team of Marshawn Lynch as my keeper for the first year.
Yeah.
And I've never finished, except for last year, lower than, I think, 6th. So I was okay.
So last year was your first year not making the playoffs.
Yes.
So you don't know as much about the old guard. Like a couple years ago, it was me and Cochran, I think, in back-to-back champions or something like that, where we faced each other right near the end of the year for a couple years. And that's how it was then decided. He and I chose each other as keepers. We had a good rivalry, and it's kind of fallen off a little bit, but mostly it's a trash talk. So I need to start trash talking Cochran a little bit. I like Mike too much, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I hate
it needs to get a little bit more like the Steelers Patriots. Like I really hate the Patriots. I do. I hate them, and I hate that they win.
Yeah.
So at least it was nice with Cochran and I that we got to face each other in the consolation bracket. At least when we sucked, we both sucked.
Yeah.
So I mean that was good.
And
if I'm going to do bad, I want him to suck too. So that felt good.
The actual last note I had was just rival smack talk. Like I know that when Adam did do his interview, he basically made Joe want to go cry with his smack talk. I mean, really, where do you see Cochran being bad this year? Are you excited to play him? Are you excited to smack talk? Are you guys going to make side bets? Have you spoken anything about
I do want to make some side bets. He'll probably have an advantage. Oh, he might have a disadvantage. Now that his ex-wife is remarried and she already got over him this quickly, he'll probably be pretty emotionally tormented. So I think that could affect him a lot. I'm really trying to key in on that, poke him in the soft spots. We'll see if I can get some advantages that way. He and I can probably talk about each other's beard gusts that are developing, so I know I'll have some ammunition on me. Hopefully that wasn't too hard, Mike. I'm sorry. See, right then, I'm apologizing already. I can't trash talk more because I like the guy too much.
You need to say, guess what? Your ex-wife's over you.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough. That's brutal. And, now I'm going through an engagement, and then next year we're getting married in September, so I know, it's going to be tough not being distracted. But, actually, this is really nice. Amanda travels for work. Mm-hmm. And so just the other day we were talking about it, and she was like, basically, I'm not going to go into their whole thing, but they've got a new system at their work that they're debuting. She's basically now the expert on it. And so when I say travel, they go to like Florida and New Jersey and stuff. And so a lot of weeks, especially on Sunday, will be her main travel day. She'll be gone. Literally, she told me like from September until Thanksgiving. And I said, that's perfect timing because I've got fantasy football. I said, so this works out really great for our relationship.
Get in line.
So I am going to be honed and focused. Killer machine. Specifically for week 12. Like, if a guy has a bye on week 12, I'm probably not taking him. It's all coming down to week 12.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Matt, those are all the questions that I really had. Is there anything else you want to say to the league? Any ending remarks?
I can now say, honestly, for the first time, that I appreciate all of you. You guys are great. I love this league. I'm glad that we have what it is. I hope you guys don't ever see it as too strict. I really try not to make things strict. I think we have to have policies to, unfortunately, keep people. The policies aren't always a bad thing. They make it fun because we have, you know what the default is. You know what the standard is to compete within. And I love this league. I'm in other leagues, and none of them are as good as this one. None of them have come close to living up to the fun that I have in this league. So, I mean, really, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate these interviews that we're having. I appreciate the articles that Derek's been putting out. It's fantastic, and I hope we can keep doing this literally forever.
That'll be it.